Good day, I'm Caroline Brown-Thompson and this is your JIS News for Monday, May 27. Government has taken another important step towards reforming the tax system as it pursues a credible economic program for the country. The Senate has passed a bill to harmonize the treatment of charitable organizations for the purpose of taxation. The legislation seeks to harmonize the various tax statutes and provide standard definitions for the terms approved charitable organization and charitable purposes for tax use. It also amends the Customs Act, the General Consumption Act, the Income Tax Act, the Property Tax Act, the Stamp Duty Act, and the Transfer Tax Act. Called the Charitable Organization Tax Harmonization Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2013, the bill was piloted by Justice Minister Senator Mark Golding.
Because arising from the deliberations with the multilaterals, and in particular the International Monetary Fund, and a shared concern has emerged between the government of Jamaica and the multilaterals that the current regime with regard to tax treatment of charitable organizations allows for significant revenue loss by way of tax expenditures.
The provisions in the Act will be incorporated into the proposed Charities Act, which will be brought to both Houses of Parliament in September. The Charities Act is now with the Office of the Chief Parliamentary Counsel for drafting. The Jamaica Mortgage Bank, JMB, is proposing to finance more than 4,000 housing solutions over the next 5 years. In his sectoral presentation last Tuesday, Minister with Responsibility for Housing, Dr. Murray Sky, said this would be done under JMB's construction financing program. It's part of government's concerted efforts to increase access and affordability of housing for Jamaicans.
During this fiscal year, the bank will be sourcing funds to finance its investment programs. Discussions to realizing this are ongoing and are at various stages of finalization.
Cabinet, meanwhile, has given approval to amend the Mortgage Insurance Act to increase the mortgage indemnity rate from 90 to 97% on the value of a property.
This, Mr. Speaker, will afford many persons, and particularly new entrants to the workforce, new professionals, public sector workers who have stable jobs and have qualified for mortgages, but who do not have the significant deposit of 15%, the opportunity to acquire a home earlier in their working lives.
Meanwhile, 408 houses have been completed under the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program JEEP component of the Hurricane Sandy Relief Program. A total of 477 relief houses are to be built under that aspect of the program. Minister with Responsibility for Housing, Dr. Murray Sky, says the remaining 69 will be constructed on relocation sites in St. Mary and Portland. 23 have already started in St. Mary.
With the others that have been built under the program before, it takes us to 722, which leaves 478 to be completed by the end of September or by the end of August, which would see the completion of 1,200 houses under that program that we have had with Food for the Poor.
Cabinet has given its approval for the tabling of a bill to amend the Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Act. The amendment will increase the penalties for breaches of the Act, and a new provision will be made for offenses connected to trafficking such as assault, carnal abuse, rape, child pornography, forced labor or begging.
There were no specific provisions for these additional offenses, and when they occurred, the practice had been to prosecute them as separate offenses under existing laws. With the amendments, the court will impose on a person convicted of a trafficking offense, an additional 10 years if there are these aggravating factors.
Information Minister Senator Sandria Faulkner gave the update at last week's Jamaica House press briefing. Currently, the penalty for the trafficking of persons is a fine or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years. Under the amendments, it will be increased to a term not exceeding 20 years or both the fine and imprisonment. And finally, Jamaica is set to deepen its presence in the global tourism market as the country participates at the Executive Council of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO. UNWTO. Tourism and Entertainment Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil departed the island on the weekend for the 95th session of the Executive Council of the UNWTO. It started in Belgrade, Serbia Monday and is scheduled to end on Wednesday. Among other things, the summit will address efforts aimed at mainstreaming tourism in the global agenda. It will also assess international tourism in 2012 and examine the outlook for 2013. Jamaica was recently elected first vice chair of the UNWTO Executive Council for 2013 and will represent the interests of the Americas region. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Caroline Brown Thompson. Thanks for watching.